So, Hussein had basically saw that I had drawn all of the sketches for how this website should look and work. Which, if you've ever done like basic wireframing, ideas are easy. Deciding where things go, how things work, what the interactions
Shout out
are.
Balsamic.
Shout out Balsamic. Realistically, Balsamic is a UI UX tool that has bad UI UX. So explain that to me. You can't even fucking read comments. It doesn't make any sense. That's actually so dumb. But either way, Hussein had basically seen that I had done this, and he said to me, basically, we were talking, he's like, everything's short of, I kind of need you on my team.
Yeah,
basically.
are you gonna come on board? Like, I know you don't like this. I know you like the product, but you don't really like the team because they're not really valuing you or caring about you. Like, are you coming on board?
Did you have a team at that point?
I had a few people.
Yeah, but...
Few people, but it was iffy. It was a little weird. I don't want to get into the details.
Hussein, I'm just going to say, from what you've told me, tell me if I'm wrong, but you were so passionate to get this done that...
I didn't care. I was going to do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for me,
Anybody that's willing to hop on the
come
bandwagon...
on board. If not, then, it's okay.
Since then, you've learned quite a bit about what makes a good team member.
Which we'll get into that in a little bit.
But,
So I asked
you
David.
You paid for my superhuman subscription.
Okay, yeah.
Which
so
was the...
You spoiled it. Okay. So like, do you want to come on board? He was like, I don't know. And I was like, then I think I saw you at like Superhuman or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I pay your $30 a month or your $20 because it's a student discount.
Yeah.
If I pay for your $20 a month Superhuman subscription, Superhuman's like this tech
the most
bro email client.
Goated email in the world.
So I'm like, if I pay your $20 a month Superhuman subscription, will you come on board? They was like, fuck yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to say that, like, shout out Superhuman. I haven't tried other tools. I know that a lot of like Superhuman copies have come out. I haven't verified whether or not they're good or not because Superhuman is insanely expensive.
Superhuman onboarding is what's worth it.
Yeah. I mean, they do teach you exactly how to use it. It's cool. You have a command. It's like a email with a command line and keyboard shortcuts. And so it's just like really optimized for speed. You can write emails as variables or like Calendly links, blurbs.
Like too much in the weeds, David.
It's so good. Yeah, no. I'm
So
a big fan.
you went on board just because of Superhuman subscription?
No.
And then
No. Not just because of Superhuman subscription. Because of what that means.
What does that mean?
What kind of fucking student is willing to scalp talent? That means he's like serious. Like people don't pay a Superhuman subscription for somebody unless they are like they mean business at this level. And they
on a more I guess to put that in perspective, it's the idea that I am willing to invest and willing to, like David said, commit to David and say, David, I want you on my team. And I put a financial tie to that because the idea is that
not cash,
but just it's more of like a motivational thing because the idea is
it could be any indicator of respect. I would say.
Yeah, because what happens is people don't really want to spend money and risk and take a risk. A lot of people don't like to take a risk to build a product, but I was willing to risk everything to build this product.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, it was just you can call it a bribe, call whatever you want. To me, it was a bribe. To David, it was like a sign of damn.
Yeah.
That's the benchmark.
Yeah.
That to me, the benchmark for if you have an idea and you need to see, and you see somebody and you say, I need that, right? This is at the earliest stage because at the earliest stage it's at the earliest stage when it's just an idea.
Who's willing to actually? Most people aren't willing to dedicate their entire life to it.
Yeah.
But again, to put the point back, right? I was willing to dedicate my entire life to making this product.
We've talked about I mean, that is a big reason why I latched on, but we've even talked about it. It is pretty crazy how I dove head first in once I saw that. Really hardcore.
I don't think we really I think it's an ongoing conversation for David and I about that entire dynamic, and this is getting really deep, right? Our entire dynamic of how we met each other and how we got so latched to each other from the very beginning. So anyways, David comes on board. Then we sort of had the class project going, but me and David spin it off, right? And we're like, we are going to build a company together, David and I. So we started working on the idea. We start,
Every day.
every single day, hours and hours and hours and hours
And
working on trying to build the
I
product.
asked myself when we started getting a little bit closer to launch, we had a conversation in your car that was like, every day? Like, why? Like, why did we do that? Like, what triggered us? Like, what triggered us to say, like, I mean, I don't know.
Well, you fall in love with the problem, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So
That's accurate. That's actually accurate, right?
So
I mean, for me, I fell in love with what it could be, right? Because the thing is that, like, Husain falls in love with the problem. Husain has an inherent love for it. But for me, I don't have an inherent love for credit card churning, but I have...
what you have to realize is that for David and for everyone else on the team that's working on this product, they are basically building my passion, right? This is a little unrelated, but that like means a lot that these guys are willing to like literally put everything towards like what's my like ultimate passion and like what I want to do in life. They're like they have to like love credit card trading, get into credit card trading for me.
But
to build this
in that
product.
way, I think something that I do have to say that you've done a good job of is the fact that as much as it is your passion project, you've been open to a logical extent to helping it become everyone else's
Right.
passion as well.
Absolutely.
Which means, I mean, for you and me, that's a simple move, right? That's a simple move away from creating a product just for your Discord group to go from 100 to 1,000. Like, I mean, that's a simple move for me, and beyond that for me as well, like bringing it to more people in terms of like bringing free vacations to people who, especially as we started looking at a worse and worse economy, are starting to look at like, how do I afford groceries? If in the process of paying for your more expensive groceries, you get the banks to essentially pay for your free vacation, that's a compelling hook, right? That's a compelling story.
So yeah.
Um,
So that's how we met.
Yeah.
So you've met David's latched on to Husain. What did you guys start to do? What happened?
The first thing that we started was we realized that we need to build a team from the very beginning. And this is honestly where I realized that I made the right decision by having David as my co-founder.
Yeah. I mean, to speak to with my last startup, I felt like I had worked with a lot of different people on my startup, and there's nothing wrong with working with a lot of different people. But I worked for 2 years and some change, working in a ton of different directions, I would say. Because the thing is that you start working with somebody, and if they're not the right fit in a startup, it's either it's got to be a great fit. It's got to be something where everyone's incentives are aligned in the same direction, or they got to go as soon as possible, because the thing is that I think at near the end with Helix, I started finding people who were really cool, and everyone that I worked with, I have a ton of like respect for. I just think that I never did a good job being a leader, right? And so, in terms of when I came onto Canopay, I think Husain I saw as like a seed of what he could be. I mean, like, you can speak to like what I mean probably better than what I can.
We've come a long way in the last 6 months. I started out, like David says, somebody who just really wanted to build. I knew that there was potential for it to be really, really big, but then I saw like Baxterward, I saw all these other folks, and I was like, okay, why don't I just build for this very specific niche, right? Usually is a pretty good idea. So I think David really, really helped me build that sort of broader perspective, and it's David's like drive that started driving, that like worked towards my driving even more faster.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense, right? Like
Yeah.
I was motivated by David being motivated in a product that he realistically has no idea about. He knows nothing about the space.
Now I know
Now it's
More
far
than-
too much that he needs
more,
to know about the
more
space.
than I want to.
But for a guy that like just he has no idea what's going on, yet he's so passionate and so dedicated, that was like, and I was like, to me, I was like, I'm already so passionate, so I should be doing like 10x. And that's like that started propelling the company forward. Okay, so anyways, David has all this knowledge, all this experience from his last startup, and so fundamentally we started out by saying, once we sort of had the idea fleshed out a little bit more, we're like, we need to build a really fucking good team that's passionate and dedicated for the product. So what did we do? What was David's amazing idea? We printed out flyers that had a QR code on them, like dozens and dozens of flyers.
This is stupid simple.
Walked around the BBB and the dude, and just went up to people and just started pitching them.
And the BBB and the dude are the
Engineering buildings. Engineering
Yeah.
buildings.
This building-
Library.
This building and the building next door.
Yeah. I mean, where we are now, but for the
But
viewers
me
at
and David,
home.
when me and David were walking right now from the parking lot over here, we were like, damn, 6 months ago we were here and it started over here.
Yeah.
This is where we built our team.
Yeah.
Because the team is the most important thing to us. Our team, our goal, I'll go back into the story a little bit, but just as a side tangent, our like goal as a company, yes, we have all the environmental causes. You want to do good in the world, but
This is more of a management strategy.
from a management perspective, our number one goal is to increase the lifetime total compensation of all of our employees.
Yeah.
That's like our metric as to be successful.
Guess who came up with that one? Boom.
Boom. So that has sort of been our guiding principle. So, anyways, back.
Whether that and let me define that, right? Because I think that this is actually a useful metric, right? So what decisions am I making today that increase total lifetime? Right? So, and compensation, how do I define compensation? Right? So compensation can be salary, benefits, bonuses. It can be
Equity.
as well equity. It can as well be
Free vacations. That's
free
a company
vacations.
benefit for
That
working
is
at Canopay.
Yeah, that's a pretty damn good company benefit. Is
Superhuman subscriptions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the thing is that sometimes that means that at an early startup you're making the decision to forego cash compensation. But what did we do? We got food on a regular basis. And that I'd say that the food that we got for the team probably had
A disproportionate impact based on the like monetary value that we were providing. Because it's okay. So, anyways, I'll get into how that worked. So, we walked around the buildings. Some people told us like, "Fuck off! Like,
Yeah.
stop bothering me."
there were some
belligerent people.
Yeah, there were some
But
people
eventually
who were
we
really
found-
irritated.
They literally said that to you.
Like stop bothering me. Like just
Yeah, just
why are you
stop
bothering
bothering me.
We
Why
went
are
to
you
someone
bothering
else. We're
me?
like, why are you bothering us?
Plus, a lot of people, I mean, the biggest thing is the fact that if you're pitching an engineer, you focus on Husain's CS degree and you stray away from mentioning my business degree.
Ross
Business-
Hole mentality.
Business majors should learn that rather than coming in and demanding respect, they should earn their respect.
That's right.
That is an honest take, and that's why most
Why the
business-
Ross Hole issue exists.
Yeah.
It's because you come in the room, you're like, I am from the Ross School of Business. I am God.
What did you say to the engineer?
We just pitched them the idea. We want to build a way to help people optimize your credit card spending and rewards. And we got some really cool people. A few people signed up, the QR code. They sent us our GitHub link, Google form. And
We
got it-
interviewed like 11 people.
and 11 people. So we got on the interview. Our interview, as Matt said, which is like our goated engineer, he basically said that's the hardest interview that I've ever done. He worked at AWS before. His past internship was AWS.
It was not a
What'd you guys-
technical
what-
interview.
What'd you guys do?
What we did is basically we were trying to. So the original idea was basically a single credit card that you could use to like you would just swipe that credit card, and it would like just pick the best credit card from all the cards in your wallet and charge it to that credit card.
There's a couple of people who have tried this.
And they literally got sued by Visa, MasterCard, Amex, and shut down. So, anyways, that was your
Very
that
recently,
was
in fact.
very
but-
recently, a few weeks ago. So, anyways, we had this idea. And we were like, we kind of knew how to do it, but we didn't really know how it would work from a technical perspective. So we literally just asked people. Imagine you're at Kroger checking out and you have this credit card. Describe to us how this would work on the back end, like how the technology would work to make this actual like rerouting of transactions happen. We didn't even know the answer.
And you just asked
We just
the
asked them.
engineers.
We just asked the engineers, how would you do it?
What did they say?
A variety of ideas.
A variety of
I
ideas.
mean, we didn't end up using any of the ideas because we went in a pretty different direction, but we provided them with all of the research that we had done, and we
started
explained
explaining to them how
interchange
like
fees work.
interchange fees, like merchant MCC, merchant category codes, all this super nitty gritty of credit cards.
We
and
gave them
dumped
everything.
it.
We gave them everything they needed to create.
That took me years to learn. I
Yeah.
dumped it on them in 10 minutes and told them give me an answer.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's how we did our interviews, and we ended up finding 4 incredibly talented people.
Mhm.
So that's the beginning of the Canopay team.
Just to like kind of say in terms of like team is that it's all about setting the right tone, right? And so it's fine if you want to set the tone as a casual, in a casual way. It's just that you are going to get out what you said at the beginning. And what's so hard about it is that it's so high stakes and nobody thinks about it unless they have the experience or somebody chirping in their ear telling them that it's like the most important thing that they could possibly be doing. And so from the time that you pitch with that flyer, you are on your A game. When you interview, you are on your A game. Every day. This is what I was saying to Husain as in terms of like why I am COO, why Husain is CEO. There is a natural tendency, because Husain has the domain expertise, to fall into CEO. Husain is the CEO. There's a natural tendency for the person with the domain expertise to fall at the CEO. At the end of the day, it's Husain's startup. You have to understand that, right? Because the reality is that it's our business, it's our project, but it's Husain's baby, right? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so like the thing is that Husain would be lost without a team that's willing to call his baby ugly.
Yep.
But we would be lost without somebody who has that parental love that only a parent can have, right? And so, like, to say that's one thing. And the other thing is the fact that after having my last startup, the last thing I ever want to be is a CEO.
The conversations. The thing is, David can come on a call. I can come on a call as co-founders, but I'm the guy that has to partake in the hard conversation with somebody, right?
Mm.
I mean, I'm there.
He's there, but I'm the one that has to.
Frankly, you've almost left me on the hook a couple of times.
That's facts.
So,
but fundamentally, it's my responsibility as CEO
yeah,
to like have those difficult conversations and make the difficult decisions. Now, on the flip side, the way that we see CEO and COO is it's kind of a title semantics thing, because the reality is the way that David and I run this company is that we basically have a fucking wormhole between our brains. We are
yeah.
David literally can lead our like technical sprint sessions.
Doesn't come easy, doesn't come naturally, but I've learned through experience.
And I can handle customer onboardings. David can do his business things, I can do my tech things. David can handle the tech things, I can do the business things.
It's a level of like complete trust that I don't know how you package that and sell it.
The way it is that David's word is my word and my word is David's word.
Because we need to be operating off of the same playbook at all times.
We yell at each other, we swear at each other, We
A
get
lot.
a lot. We get to the point where on Zoom calls or in person, we literally have a yelling match
Yeah.
that can turn into a fist fight at any point. But the rule
It has not
is,
yet, but we are
It's
planning.
gonna happen.
If we get funded, we're literally planning on going to a boxing
Yes.
gym. So
Okay, that's your next steps. I see.
That is next steps. But anyways, back to the thing is that David's word is my word and my word is David's word. Our decisions, that if Dave makes a decision, it is a final decision. I make a decision, it's a final decision. Our philosophy as a team is that we have a bias for action. Matt,
That's a Matt
that's
thing.
a Matt
Matt
thing.
introduced
Matt
that.
introduced the idea of bias for action. The
And
idea,
Matt is your.
one of our founding engineers.
Yes.
The idea of bias for action is that you just need to make a decision and just do it. Don't waste time. Don't waste time over analyzing it. Obviously, do your due diligence, make sure it's a sound decision, right? But don't be like, I have to get approval from like David. I have to get approval from
It's
Husain.
all we got as a startup. It's all we got. We don't have resources.
We have nothing.
We have
just
speed.
We have speed and we have people.
You
Yeah.
have initiatives.
Yeah.
That inertia cannot.
And I have to
slow
say,
down.
it's honestly Jack, our other founding engineer, that has stayed through since the beginning. Just he lives bias for action. There's no need to like describe to Jack these principles. I think what's great about Matt is the fact that Matt understands how to take things and turn it into a learning and then ship it out to the rest of the team.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the idea of the team, right? So we get this founding team. And then over time what ends up happening is 2 of the 4 have to leave due to personal issues. So it's basically, it's me, Matt, Jack, David on the team. Then what we end up doing, and this is where I'm going to give some advice, is that we end up bringing some folks that are from industry that have worked at, big, your FANG startups, right? Like your big tech startups or big companies. And we bring them on board to sort of help give us some more structure to go from the idea of a hackathon to actually building a product. The problem is that when you bring folks from industry, we call people that are industry lost causes to some extent. And that's a really hot take.
That is a burning hot
That's
take.
a burning hot take. And I don't say this in a negative way. I say this in the way that when you are a pre-seed startup that doesn't even have a product and you're trying to launch a product, you have to be incredibly flexible and willing to do whatever it takes, learn whatever needs to be learned to get a product out. When you're in industry, you start to learn these sort of principles and a way of doing work and a way of handling meetings and a way that things should be run. But that is not how a pre-seed startup works.
So let me make this a little bit more accessible. So in my opinion, everything for 99, the general track, right, is from birth through schooling through anything. You generally are taught to follow a track, do what you're told, there will be a structure, the answer will be provided, right? And the reality is that you learn in that this is just the way that things are, and that's inherently opposed to like what you need to be doing on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so the thing is that for folks that are already in industry, they tend to have a lot of structure and a way that they've sort of been thought to either, work as an employee, to lead meetings, to think about strategy, to actually like push code, right? There's a lot of structure that's built into things. And the way that a pre-seed startup works, especially when the vast majority of other folks are students, is that things are very, very fluid. Like, the idea is that every single person on the team has to do whatever it takes, learn whatever they have to in order to get the product out. So what we've noticed is that for folks in industry, it's really hard to sort of get them back to that mindset that they were as a student. So my advice would be that if you are a student startup, I would focus on finding incredibly, incredibly talented and dedicated students that have a similar mindset as you. And even more importantly, say you're like a junior, a senior, right? Sometimes you will find the gems in the freshmen. we have noticed that we have learned and we have seen that freshmen are absolutely crazy. So Cooper, right? Cooper has joined our team. He's a freshman. He is cracked. He's cracked. He's insane. And he's a freshman. I mean, he's done more than the vast majority of people in the industry will do in their entire life.
Cooper might be an outlier though.
He's an
Cooper is
outlier, I'm
outlier.
saying, but
You
they're...
can't-
But you're looking for
build-
outliers.
If you're looking for
Yeah.
outliers, you want to build an incredible team. That's a very good point, right? The other thing I'll say is that not only Cooper, but we had another person on our team that was a freshman, and she was also incredibly talented, incredibly motivated, incredibly smart. So sometimes you'll find some really cool freshmen.
Cooper just has killer instinct as well.
Cooper is
it's
just
crazy.
a goat. So that's what I'll say about industry people. The last point that I'll make about team building is the fact that there's very conventional wisdom that says that you should never pay your first people on your team. If you're paying them, you're doing something wrong. And that, I think, is absolutely true. David and I thought that that wasn't true, that there has to be some sort of motivator from the very start to get people actually like engaged and passionate about a project. But over time, we realized that for every dollar that we put in direct compensation, we have got very, very little out of it. Whereas every dollar that we put in towards team building, towards paying for dinner, lunch, towards
some dollars put towards that has even pushed us in the wrong direction.
Yeah, some dollars that we put towards actual compensation has moved us backwards. We've regressed because of it. So every dollar that's put in towards like intangible team building to actually make people feel that they're valued, to make your entire team like feel more cohesive, that has actually propelled us forward. Today, no one on our team is being paid a single dollar.
I would also say that there's something that I'm learning more recently as well about like tone setting, which is that I guess everyone has their own culture in their own team, but I feel like when Husain says like intangible team building, 99% of college students will walk away and they'll say, "Oh yeah, like get a case of beers and have people over to play video games." And that's like what most people will walk away with, but the reality is that that's I don't think what you mean at all.
Not at all.
Can you clarify what you mean?
What I mean by intangible team building is the idea of actually motivating, if the best way to put this, figuring out ways to motivate your team to actually believe in the product that you're building, and to some extent go to a unreasonable level of dedication and passion towards the project. And our entire team is so dedicated to the product. They're dedicated to us as co-founders. They're dedicated to themselves in terms of like their own personal growth and how they can benefit from working at this company. They will do, just like I will do everything to make Canopay work. Every single person on this team will do everything it takes to make Canopay work.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, Jack, Cooper, Raghav, everyone on this team will do literally everything it takes to make this company work. And that's a sort of like insane, like delusional, frankly, delusional level of dedication and passion that can just happen by being really good leaders.
So what actually like gets you there though? In my opinion, what gets you there is less like people things got to flow naturally. If you're headed on the right track, you'll know because it's just working naturally. And I guess that the hard thing is that I don't have years and years and years of experience where this has applied to a bunch of different startups where it's worked 8 times and I can say definitively that this is the way.
This is the way.
but like I will say that like for us at least, I think that the most important thing has been getting people to understand what the product means to them and the people that they care about. Mm-hmm. Right. And oftentimes I think that means that not in any way that I think has made us less productive, less of a big business, but learning to change your vision to accommodate the people that join your team.
Right.
When it's a genuinely good idea and when they are willing to put it in, because it's like the reality is you don't have a lot to offer at the early stages of a startup, and one of the main things that you have to offer is what you are building, right? So don't get too off track. Make it driven by data, but also be open and flexible to
The
what it
human
could
aspect of
what
what
it
you're
what
trying
it
to
could
build.
be, what it could be, right? And people are only going to get really passionate about things that are personally important to them.
A lot
So-
a lot of people say that you should not try thinking too big, right? Keep yourself grounded. I think the only way that we've gotten so far is by literally something that Matt said, right?
Mhm.
Is that the only way that I know that I'm thinking about the right things is when I think about them. I'm like, how could this ever happen? Like,
Yeah,
this is
that's
literally
actually facts.
impossible to build.
And then like a week
That is
later,
when you know that your company's
you-
in the right direction, when your team members start thinking like that.
Yeah,
Because,
that was
Yeah.
a goated Matt quote.
that's a golden Matt quote.
How
Um,
come Matt is not in this conversation?
I know,
He's literally
he's at
in
the
Florida,
airport right now,
in Fort Lauderdale.
ready to go to Atlanta. Anyways,
Yeah.
the last note I'll say is that, like, for anyone at the university, right, at UMich, I would say, if you want to try finding like-minded people like you, I would absolutely say that you have to go to V1. Like,
Yes.
V1 is honestly, I would say, the best
Yeah.
entrepreneurship community at this university.
Can I also say something?
Go for it.
You wait 2 years, and if you don't focus on the next crop and how the next crop
That's
becomes
also true.
important to them, it'll become like everything else.
V1 is
Right now, I can confirm that right now, I would say this year, next year, probably the year following, it's going to be really good.
I would truly say that V1 has the potential. V1 is and has the potential to be the place for student builders and student entrepreneurs. We have met some really talented people through V1.
Yeah. And not to mention there's also been a couple of ideas that I've heard that are super cool.
Yeah.
And like
Because
we're
people in there
even
just
talking,
are always thinking. They're
Yeah.
always thinking about, like, always willing to help.
and it's not just
always
ideas.
thinking.
It's not just ideas. It's not just people cracking open beers with their friends and just shooting the shit. like they're actually like getting after it in many cases. And no problem with people who just want a social space to discuss startups.
But yeah, people are actually building products in V1. I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
So yeah.
It's time to build.
Oh, guys.